done. Co-author of a movement, not-for-profits game, teaching kids that self-belief can ease the pain. Every child deserves to face their fears with measured thinking, not just tears. She's planting seeds of strength in every mind. Paulette Harlem, leaving no child behind. When the storm clouds gather and you don't know what to do, take a deep breath, clear your mind, let the answer come to you. Walter's gonna be there in your present and your future too. So just stop and ask yourself, what would Walter do? What would Walter do?
What was Walter do? What was Walter do? I'm having a lovely little party there, don't mind me. Hello everyone. Hello.
Yeah, it's your new space that's doing it for you, Paulette.
It's a what?
Your new space. We like it. We like it. I mean,
I'll show you around. It's like, woohoo, look, stock everywhere.
so all that you relaxing on your sofa, less of that.
There is a reason, guys.
Mm-hmm.
The more I can raise, the more I can buy.
Yep. And she's doing everything she can to raise more money. I'll have you know.
Keep it clean, Mr. Osung. There is clothes on at all times.
The geriatric peanut.
No, I never said geriatric, you sod. I said, and I will quote, I'm peaches and creams, mature ladies pin-up, mature lady pin-up, mature woman pin-up, mature woman's pin-up. That means I'm like a modal. I'm like my friend Alana. I'm Alana Banana. I'm like that, but old and wrinkly. I'm the old and wrinkly version.
and listen, you're not that old and wrinkly.
No, thank God. 62 next month. 62 next month. Whoop whoop.
Do you feel different to when you were 50? I'm curious because I'm 52 this year. No.
I mean, I'll be really honest. Last year was the year from hell, health-wise. So I am so grateful for every day. I wake up, the first thing I say in my head is thank you for the day. And then I do my meditation while I'm lying there. And then I think to myself, every day's got to count. These are all bonuses, Annie. Every day's a bonus. And so because of that, I think it shows in me. People are saying it. You look younger than ever. And I'm like, do I? And then I look at pictures of myself and I'm like, well, I look a bit different. I don't know what it is, but I look a bit different. I think it's the cheekbones that's suddenly appearing on my face from nowhere. But there you go. You get what you get. And this is me, I'm afraid. Warts and all, as you know. I'll tell you all about it as we go on because Annie's going to just give me grief. I can just tell. But I have a motive for my actions, and I want to be able to gift at the end of the year, November. I want a whole living room full of samples and gifts and products and makeup and jewelry and stuff that I can give to all the either the children who are in foster care that want to have presents. Then they can go and choose presents for their mums, and then the mums can choose presents for their daughters, and then I'm going to have loads of stuff for boys too. I've got a load of stuff coming from a couple of big manufacturers who have said, yeah, we'll support you. We have to do like 40 videos. I'm like, 40 videos? Chicken feed, bring it on.
Yeah, no, minimum. Well, is that 40 in a year or is that 40 in a shorter period?
No, in a month. But it's
in a month?
In a month, I can do that because I do 10 a day, 12 a day at the minute, and then I'm still doing everything else hard. But it's the pressure that I'm not very good at. I don't like the pressure. I get a lot of be more upbeat, be more show more enthusiasm. I'm like,
you mean feedback? No,
yeah. It comes on the screen. Comes
Yeah,
up
no,
live on screen.
they'll get used to it. You know, we're British. We don't do things.
I'm
No,
like,
we don't do
Mr.
American.
AI, sod off.
You know, we don't do American style. Ah, you know, we're much calmer. You know,
But that doesn't necessarily suit their model. But it doesn't matter. They'll get used to me and I'll get used to them. But
yeah.
the most important thing is for children, right? Everything is around children. So I want to be able to give the foster children gifts. I want to give the care leavers gifts. As a care leaver, I could not have afforded a mascara. It would have been eat for 2 days or have a mascara. You have to choose eat for 2 days, right?
Yeah,
So if I
always.
can give them mascara in a bag and some makeup in a bag, they're going to be like, wow, set up, you know? What a feeling that would give me, right? And even saying it out loud makes me get all warm and fuzzy, right? And I know that that would be so well received. So when I think about me and my horrible, horrible life that I had at the beginning and where I am now, and I think if I can do something good, I should. And I am. And if it makes you giggle, I don't care. Just just remember you're talking to the peaches and creams woman, mature woman.
So you are doing good. You know, thankfully.
Indirectly, I'm making a fool of myself. But do you know what? That doesn't matter.
What do you mean? That's so not true.
I don't know. There are some videos that are quite. I was trying to use this hair appliance, and all I can tell you, it was supposed you hold it there, and the hair's supposed to go and blow round it, and it was all going over there. And I'm standing there going, and here behind here is a door, and I've got one of these open mirrors that I bought. So I've got the 3/4 face, like face on each side, and I'm holding it, and the hair's blowing over there, and I'm like, what is going on? And then I realised there are 2 different ends. One goes right, one goes left. I got the wrong one on. And I said, I did that deliberately, so you don't.
I'm not going to use.
I don't think they believe me, but you know
I
what?
won't use that device of yours. I'll leave that device right to you.
That gives me, every time somebody sells one, £18.
Really?
£18 every time somebody buys one. So quite frankly, £18
on your link.
£18 on my page, on my showroom, on my little they call it underneath my page. It's called a showcase. It's in my showcase. They buy it from my showcase, and then, but because people have laughed at me, they're more inclined to buy it anyway. Because they'll be like, if I'm going to buy it from someone, I'd rather buy it from someone that's doing good with it. I tell you who's been and seen me. Sharon Rose has seen me in action. Honestly, she was on one of my lives, and I was like, "Oh, hello, Sharon." Then I was like, "Oh my God, what must she think?" But then I thought, she knows why I'm doing it. She knows what it's all about.
Yeah. So where's the link to your affiliate page?
I don't know. It's just my name.
What do you mean? Go on TikTok and then to Paulette Hallam. No, there must be a link.
I think you just go at Paulette Hallam.
Okay, so no, I guess you have to put that in the comments. We'll talk sometime and then work out.
Yeah. But I mean, in all seriousness, people who use TikTok, if you just type in Paulette Hallam, you find me, because there's so many videos now. It's like, oh my God, there's another one. Oh, there's another one. You know, here she is selling this. Here she is selling that. You know, there's no end to my talent, really.
But first things first. So we want them to just go to your affiliate page and see what you're promoting, what you're supporting, and then that way, because people are lazy. People like a simple link. You know,
if you go to my affiliate page, and literally, it's got on there a link to the Amazon page for Jack and Water, and then, but I'm not allowed to say it. I have to call it the rainforest. So I have to say, I sell these on the rainforest. And I even have to
who
say,
said that? Who said that?
I have to say LI. I'm not allowed to say LinkedIn. I have to say LI.
Really?
Yes.
Who said that?
It's the rules. It's all the rules.
The
If
rules
you're on the
where?
affiliate program, TikTok's rules. So if you're selling products, that's all there is. So I just go, this is me. There I am. If you look for me, you can find me on the rainforest, beginning with A. Not difficult, is it?
It sounds crazy. It sounds as crazy
It is
I
what it
guess.
is. But listen, if I
Yes.
can raise some money for kids, then I'm going to do it any which way I can.
Yeah. You know.
Except without my clothes on. That I draw a line. There's certain things I will do, and there's certain things I won't, and that is definitely a won't.
What's your again? Glamourgram.
I'm not even a granny, you cheeky devil. Galamogram.
Sorry. I'm laughing too
Here
much.
I am. I've come to sing you a song.
I'm having too much
Let's
fun.
sing
That's
me
my
out.
problem.
Let's sing me out, Annie. They'd be like, she can't sing. They actually did say if I got 3 roses the other day, if I get 3 roses, I had to sing, and I was like, no, no more roses.
Did you get 3 roses?
I did get 3 roses, and I didn't sing.
You didn't sing.
No.
Disingenuous people. Honestly,
No, I said, if I get 3 roses, I will thank you individually. I'm not singing. I'm not doing that, because I know that'll be the video that'll go viral.
Yeah.
And it'll be me like singing, and everyone going, did you see Paula how I'm doing that? And it'll be like, I'll be famous for being an idiot. Nah.
You know, we saw her doing that, is what we say, and then we'll laugh a bit more.
And then they'd video it, and somebody would post it, and then it would get posted here, there, and the world would see me going, what I can't do. And Ben would leave the country. Ben would leave the country. Ben would move to Japan. He'd be gone. He wants an excuse.
I can't say I blame him. You know, saying, I mean, if I started singing online, my family would move as well, without me, of course. You know, they'll leave me behind. We don't even know who that person making that noise is what they'll say to you. Anyway, we're having too much fun. We need to get our show started.
It's a chance to see who's here, though, isn't it? So who have we got? Has anyone said hello yet?
Here.
Lisa, hi. See you later.
Yeah, so we've got our room, your metamorphoses tonight.
We have.
What are we talking about, Paulette? I always ask you, and then you always look surprised.
I know, but do you?
Yeah, I think.
Go on then.
Is it burnout? No.
What?
Is it burnout?
Yeah. Well, kind of. Yeah.
Go on, so you tell us. So now you know that I know.
Well, it's about how you feel differently and exhausted when you're having your menopause, and so it's a bit like what I call fibromyalgia does to you, and it literally can shut you down, and so your body. It can't do what it used to be able to do even 2 months ago. And so you feel exhausted, you're appearing exhausted, and people might take that as you're burnt out, you're good to them, you can't work. But actually, if they gave you like a couple of hours work from home, and you could have a sleep for 2 hours, you could do your hours afterwards. It's about still giving 100%, but not necessarily in the hours of the daytime. And as long as your work isn't required to do that, then why wouldn't you be willing to see that as where we're at with? It's a very difficult topic, and I know that some women suffer so terribly. Others go sailing through it and wonder what the heck we're talking about. Honestly, they don't even know they've had any kind of sign of menopause, whereas others have had, hell on earth. So yeah, it's a strange world we live in, because human beings, we are supposed to be the same, and yet we're all different. Remember that, folks. You heard it here first.
That's a good way to describe it. I think we have a guest speaker as well. I don't know who to say. We have a guest speaker on the show tonight, so do join us. It is 10 p.m. my time in the UK, 5 p.m. Eastern. Give you sort of idea. So, but before that, there is my what if room. That's why we have to live here within reason, Paulette. I want to talk about how do you create your bold idea when you haven't got a plan. If anything, don't make a plan. Never make a plan, because plans are rubbish, right? I don't know. There's a planning paradox. As soon as you make a plan, it's old, it's dead. You're not going to follow the plan. No one ever does. No one ever has. So stop kidding ourselves. Let's go and, I'll show you how to create your bold idea, your genius solution without a plan. There is something called radical openness. Let's talk about it.
I call it pivoting, but you're absolutely right. Absolutely right.
I think we have to be prepared.
Yes.
To go that way. It's a mixture of different things. But join us at 6:30. 2.5 hours from now. I'll share the link in the comments, of course. Now, before we go, Dr. Lisa says it's always amazing to me that anyone never remembers the topic of our show. I never do, Lisa. I just copy and paste what you send me to on the event page, right? Today's about finding joy during menopause. Okay, same thing. Similar to don't be burnt out, right? So Leanna, welcome. We don't normally see Leanna on Tuesday, but you were here.
Lovely to see you.
Earlier than your normal day goes. That's Sharon Rose is here as well. Welcome to you. Created unique for sure. Paulette is. Lisa, I don't remember most things. I don't remember my name half the time. I don't know how I survived.
It calls me Tom.
Professor Roxanne is here. I call you all sorts, really.
I know.
Our storytelling genius Jay is here as well. Welcome to you, sir. How you doing? Who have I missed? I think Lisa Drew is here as well.
Oh, excellent.
We talked about her the other day, didn't we? And there's a random person that will never know. You never meet him. I don't know who he is.
I've arranged it. She's sending me her diary.
Okay, nice. So you're gonna meet. Lisa's doing
absolutely, yeah, thing, absolutely.
Right? So what's Lisa up to? A parenting event or a parenting what?
Well, she's a Master of Education, so she will be involved in everything parenting, everything educational. So you're talking about expert, and hopefully she'll come up on stage and talk to us as well.
Yeah,
so
please.
I've got so much information I want to impart on you, because when I do these specific topics, I've got to say specific topics. Specific topics. It's because it all leads into how we care for children. It's not just about what happens to the child while it's at school, what happens to the child while it's at home. It's what happens to the child 24/7, right? And the big issue for me, and I say this with all, it's so hard for parents now, really, it's so hard. And the part of it that is the hardest is, when is the right time to have children? If you had to sit down and work out with a pen and paper, how much will it cost? When will I do it? You'd never have children. Never. Because the costs are endless. And so that means that would put you off having children, and we don't need that. We've already got a massive decline in the number of births. The figures are all very clear, and everybody knows the demographic is, we've got far more, if you imagine scales, we've got far more old people than we have got young people. So we've got a lot less young people paying into the pensions for the older people. It's an absolute demographic fact. So is that because parents cannot afford to have more children? Have we thought about that? Because I've really thought about it at great length, because to me, there used to be 2.1 children was the average per household. 2.1. Now, I've never understood what a 0.1 of a child is, but 2.1 was the number that was used. Then we ended up in a situation where it went down to 2, 1.8, and we're about 1.6, 1.8 now. Now, again, what 1.6 or 1.8 of a child looks like, I guess what it means is one house has 3, one house has 2, one house has 1. You average it up and you end up with a mean number, and that's blah, blah, blah. That's the maths, right? We're going to do a lot of maths today, be warned. So I just think that part of the demographic factor is finance. I really believe that. And I think years ago, when people didn't necessarily buy their houses, they didn't have big mortgages, both parents didn't have to go to work, the mum was a stop-at-home mum, you could have 2 or 3 children because you didn't have those childcare costs, because the mum was looking after the child or children. Now it's an absolute necessity for a majority of households for both parents to work. What does that mean? Does that mean we become those latchkey kids they used to talk about post-war, where suddenly the husbands haven't come home, or the husbands are still away or injured or whatever? Then the mum still works in the factories. She was in the armaments factories. Now she's working in a different factory because she's the only income. And that means it goes right the way back to that whole term of the latchkey kid. The latchkey kid came back in again in the 70s when the mortgage rate started going through the damn roof. In the early 80s, the same thing happened again. And now here we are, 2026. I'll say that again, 2026. We're already in June of 2026, which blows my mind, quite frankly. Blows my mind. But I've tried to work out what is the problem. And I definitely think most households need 2 incomes to cover the cost of the house, the food, the transport, the energy, just the general household costs, right? And then anywhere where you've got a child that wants to do any kind of club, or is interested in football, or is interested in going to Cubs or Scouts, or going to dancing or ballet or whatever, then you've got extra costs going out. Ben used to go to Stagecoach, that's extra costs going out. As soon as a child is basically, I will say, at school age, you're looking at, on average, and these are all averages because I checked several different countries, and on average it's 13 weeks of school holidays a year. That sounds like a massive number. Now that does include bank holidays, and we get bank holidays, or you get bank holidays, whatever. So that does include the bank holidays. But if you had a teacher training day to that bank holiday, suddenly it's another day you've got to take off work somehow. So let's just go and think about different parent-family scenarios. And I'm going to run through a few, and then we'll see where we go. So mum returning to work after she's had her maternity leave. Most mums don't take a year off because they can't afford to. They take 6 months, if they're lucky, 3 months if they're not. From that moment onwards, they're reliant on somebody else looking after their child. If there's a family member nearby who is of an age where they can have given up work and will help out, fantastic, you're laughing. Very few people are in that position these days. And let me explain why that is again. Demographics. Years ago, women retired at 60, men retired at 65. Now, I won't be able to retire till I'm 67. Charles can't retire until he's 68. These are the actual numbers. So how would I pay my bills if I wasn't working? So I'm sorry, I'd love to look after the grandchildren. Absolutely, I'd love to. But I've got to get down to being here and do my job. I've got to go and work in the supermarket or whatever, wherever you can stay. If you manage to keep your job as an accountant, or if you keep your job as in HR or whatever. But again, ageism comes in again, and it's another story for another day. But you know, if you're in a job and you stay in that job, you can't dare leave it, because trying to get another job when you're in your mature years, it's hard. Don't trust me on that. Ask Felipe. I put him down as one of my experts, and he knows. So childcare is quite often a larger cost than the mortgage or the rent. If you've got 2 children and they are under 4 and you don't have anyone to leave them with or anything else, and you've got to go to work, you're looking at over £2,000 a month to put them in childcare. Once they reach the age of 3, they get given, I think it's 20 hours a week, but on average we work 38. So you've still got to pay for the other 18 a week. How can childcare be more than the mortgage and more than all the other bills added together? That is the question that I'm trying to get to today. Parents typically get 4 to 6 weeks holiday. We've talked bank holidays already, but you know, when you get a teacher's training day added on, that always means that you've got to take another day's holiday. So you might have to take a week for half term and then another day for the teacher training day or whatever. So that's another thing to think of if they are now at school age. Now, if they're at school age, we're paying because we need to be at work for 8 o'clock, or we've got to commute like I used to have to. I used to be on the 6:30 train, sometimes 7 o'clock if I was a bit late, but I should have been on the 6:30 train. I used to say, Charles used to drop Ben off at nursery. He used to have to drop him off early at 7:30 in order for him to get to work. And in the end, my mum, who, as you know, was a tumultuous relationship, she said, I'll have him on the Monday that you go into London that early, because it was board meeting day. So we started early because we had the meetings before the day. And so I used to either drop him off on the Sunday night, or he'd go there first thing in the morning by Charles. Charles would drop him off because we go literally went past the door to drop him off and could pick him up on the way back. And that worked wonders for us. But the other 4 days, he would be dropped off at 8:30. So I'd be back at my desk for 9 o'clock. And then I would pick him up at 5:15. And then I'd done my 9 till 5. I worked from home 4 days a week, but really that meant I was based from home and then I'd be out seeing customers. So I would be driving sometimes to Leeds, sometimes to York, sometimes to Manchester, sometimes Birmingham. I could be anywhere, wherever the deals were, wherever they required me to be. So I couldn't say, oh, that's okay, Ben can be at home with me today. Not a chance. He had to have a routine, and that's part of children like routine anyway. And he especially hated me leaving him when I used to leave him at nursery, scream the house down, hang on to my leg. I'd sit in the car crying before I could come home, put makeup on, and get ready for the day. With big red eyes every day. And then one day the nursery manager said, come here, come in my office a minute. I said, okay. I thought I was going to get told off or whatever. And she said, just give it 2 minutes. And I said, okay. She said, when I phone you at home and tell you he's playing and he's fine, you don't believe me, do you? I said, well, it's not I don't believe you, but how can you go from lying on the floor hanging onto my trousers to being okay 5 minutes later? She said, I want you to look. Just if you imagine this is a window, right? I'm allowed to bob over the top because it's part of the door. And as I did, there was him, happy as anything, playing. And I was like, I go home, beat myself up, call myself all the what's it's under the sun, and there he is, playing happily. But it still means I'm paying £1,200 a month for the privilege. But I'm just saying, at least you know the kids are happy at nursery. Nursery fees exceed £1,000 per month per child. with additional charges for extended hours. So if I got stuck in traffic, or I wasn't able to get back, say I was coming home from Manchester, I've got plenty of time, get into traffic, and I'm going to be 2 hours late. Charles can get there for 6. I can get there for 7:30. I phone Charles. Charles is going to go completely opposite direction from where he worked and go and pick Ben up. He won't get there till whatever time. They'll say, well, that's an extra hour. And unfortunately, we're letting staff go home, so you're going to be having to pay for £30 for the extra hour. And that was not unusual. I checked it out. This is quite normal behaviour. If you want them to do the breakfast club, which means that you're dropping them off up from 7 o'clock onwards, children are dropped off at nursery and they're picked up to 7 p.m. But that 6 till 7 is an extra £30 an hour. So if you do that for 5 days, 150 quid extra a week rather. So you have to really work out, childcare has been funded by the government to a degree, but it's a very small degree. Who knows, hands up, if I said, try and book a holiday in the school holidays, and what happens? Immediately the price goes up by what, 25%, 22%? At least. If you can take a week off school before, you could get it for 20% cheaper, if not more. How unfair is that? That the market says, we're going to take full advantage of these parents because they're not being shafted enough already by the systems. We're going to have a go as well. The flights are going to be more money, the apartments are going to be more money, and the holidays are going to be more money. You might as well put the price of the bloody currency up, right? So I just want to keep everybody thinking about this whole mismatch of why is it that children numbers are in decline. I think I've probably summed that one up already. The UK labour market is built around full-time employment, but family life is built around children, and children need care far beyond the hours of 2 or 3 hours at night if they're lucky, maybe half an hour in the morning if they're lucky. And most of that morning time is screaming and shouting to get them, get the bag, get the shoes, get this, get the that, going to miss the bus, blah, blah, blah. It's not a happy time, breakfast, is it? Let's be honest. Where do you see breakfast is so chilled? Oh yeah, everyone's having a great time. It's pandemonium, right? When the child comes home at night, you're tired. You've worked a full day and you're like, okay, have you got homework? Did you do it in, like there used to be an after school club at Ben's school, which was called Homework Club. No one really liked it, but I used to make sure that Ben went there at least 2 or 3 times a week. And then he could do his homework in a school classroom environment, which would keep his mind thinking like he's in school. He'd go and get biscuits and get a drink, and then he'd still be sat at a desk in a classroom environment, and he would get on with his work, and he would work 10 times faster than he would when he was at home. Procrastinating, looking around, picking up a book, can I have something to eat? No, dinner soon. Oh, can I have a snack? You know how it is. So getting them to try and use that hour before you can pick them up for after school club, which was homework club, when it was singing or when it was drama or when it was something he enjoyed, different story, of course. The kids love doing things they love doing. They just don't like doing the things they don't like doing, right? So the key thing for me here is we are now relying, and it's an absolute fact, we are relying on grandparents. And grandparents are known as the cheapest form of labour there is. Now, do I like saying that? Oh, it makes me cringe, but it's actually true. If you're lucky enough to live in a close confide with your grandparents, grandchildren, your parents, the children's grandparents, and they're able to take care of your children and have them during the day, then that means you've just saved yourself all those childcare costs. Do you give your grandparents, or parents rather, the money to look after your child? I'm just saying. Most don't. It's called unpaid labour. It's called done for love. It's called, this is what you do because you love my child. But the point is this. There are most situations where even a grandparent is in close vicinity is now having to work. If not full-time, part-time, because their pension doesn't cover the bills. So they would love to look after their grandchildren, but they just can't, because they can't afford to. Throw that into the mix. Grandparents are having to work now. Then they get their pensions. Young people got to come through the system, get to work, to then get paid, pay in the system to pay the pensions. That's the way the model works. We can't afford children, right? We can't afford them because, unfortunately, part of the whole social media argument has been that we are allowing our kids to use devices as babysitters. We are saying to our kids, it's okay, let yourself in, get off the bus, walk home, let yourself in, and then you can have an hour of whatever until someone gets home, or 2 hours, or whatever it's going to be. The point I'm making is that's why Ben went to after school club and did his homework, so that when he came home, if his homework was done after dinner, he could have that time to play Smash or whatever it was he was into at the time. The key for me, and it will always be the key, is devices are not babysitters, and we have to remember that. And yet here we are saying, hang on a minute, Paula, one minute you're saying we can't afford the kids, then you're saying you've got no way of looking after them, then you're telling us we can't use the devices. What are we supposed to do? We can't go out and play football with them. We can't go out and play with them. Mum can't be at home making cakes with them because she's working. You see, all these ideal family pictures we see or used to see of what it used to be like in the great old days and the grand old days and the 70s and the 80s, it's gone. It's gone. Our kids never are going to have that, because it's now a 2-family income family or a 1-family income family. But whatever way you look at it, unless they are on benefits, there is no way that you cannot be in this position. And I have a story, and I'm sure I've told it before, and it will make you laugh, but I love to add little anecdotes because I think it makes sense to people, right? So my friend Bev, she's a bank manager, and she was working full-time, 3 kids. She had her mum round the corner who's looking after the children when they finished school. Before all of that, she took time off. So she did take the time off to be with the kids. She took a year, but that's because her husband could afford to cover her not working. So she got paid, I think, 3 months full pay in the bank, 3 months full pay, and then it was the basic you get from the government, the state, for the following 9 months. But her husband picked up the slack. But it meant she had a year with her baby at home, right? But then the babies had to go off to the grandparent until they went to school. When she went back to work, she came home one day, and she'd got a washing pegged up in the morning at 6:30. She's pegging the washing out on the line. Nice day, get the washing out quick. Knowing full well there's the possibility it's either going to get rained on or crunchy, but she'll deal with that when she gets home, right? She needs to get some washing done. So she's got all the clothes on the line at 6:30 in the morning. And then she's got all the breakfast laid out before the boys come down. She had 3. For the boys came down 3, not 4, 3. 3 boys came down, had the breakfast. It was all laid out on the table. There wasn't a choice. It was what they got. Their cereal and toast. Cereal and toast, lads. That's what they got. And then it was like, right, dropping you off at grandma's, you're getting on the school bus and you're doing this, that, and the other. Or dropping you at school and whatever. And then she would come home, having had to deal with some fairly stressful situations at work. And then she was customer facing bank manager. So that means that she dealt with the problems. So she wasn't the bank manager that sat there and just said, yeah, I'll just sign this document. No, she was the one that was dealing with all the shouty people that had gone through customer service and got escalated. Bank manager, that'll be Bev. So what happened was, Bev came home from work, and the house next door to her had been rented. The owners had gone away to New Zealand for a year and rented their house out. Anyway, this lady moved in with 4 children. Didn't see any sign of any man. Just the lady on her own with 4 kids. Anyway, it was a stonker of a lovely hot day. Stonker of a day, right? She comes home from work, picks up her son from the grandparents, picks up the kids from after school club, comes home absolutely exhausted, and goes outside to find her washing is practically crunchy because it's been in the sun all day. And she's like, oh gosh, all my flowers, all the plants that she put in are all dried up as well. They're all screaming for a drink. And she's like, oh, I've got to look after you as well, have I, sort of thing. Anyway, so she gets the washing in and thinks, well, I'll just put it in the tumble dryer and hope it softens up. Anyway, meanwhile, she hears rustling and chatting and whatever music, quite loud music, but, you know, not unpleasant music. She's sort of boogieing along. She's unpegging the washing. And somebody pops up over the fence. So if you can imagine, this is the fence. It would be a Jack and Water book, wouldn't it? Of course. This is the fence. Somebody pops up. Hello, she says. What a beautiful day it's been. I've been in the garden all day sunbathing. Isn't it amazing? So Bev said, oh, have you? She said, yes. She said, you should see my white bits. Like, you know, really like friendly, laughy, ha, ha, ha. She said, I might have even had a glass of wine. And so Bev's like, what? It's only like 6 o'clock. And she's like, well, you know, it's 1 o'clock somewhere sort of thing. So she was quite a jokey, jovial, laughy person. Bev's not in the mood. She's had a horrible day. She wants to get the washing in. She's decided she's got to put the hose on the plants, right? And this woman says, oh, I think I might just have 1 more hour sunbathing. You know, I've been out here 7 hours. She said, I'm fried, but boy, will I look good. So Bev said, how come you don't have to go to work then? She said, oh, well, I'm on benefits because I'm a 1-parent family and I can't work because my kids are too young. So, yeah. Bev's like, I'm sorry. She said, yeah, I can't work because the children are too young. So Bev was like, I had 3 kids. I had to work. Anyway, she gets the hose pipe. She's watering the plants because they're all going, please give me a drink. You know, they've been fried all day. So she's now hosing down the plants to water them, you know. So she said, oh, I can hear you still working. Now you're watering the plants, she said. Oh, do you ever stop? She said, don't you ever just sit down and sunbathe? Well, Bev couldn't help herself. The hose pipe went up in the air. Don't know how it happened, life of its own. 1 minute it was facing the plants, and the next minute it went up and towards the fence. And she went, oh, you've just soaked me. Bev said, oh, I am sorry. She said, I was trying to get the higher roses. But that was Bev's way of paying back. Can you blame her? Really? Think on that one. I want to say the hidden economic calculations, what I did when I was trying to come up with some numbers. And I'm not saying this is 100% because it's not the same for every family, but you've got to have some numbers to explain away what I'm talking about. So the hidden economic calculation, we're calling it. Many parents sit down with a pen and paper and do calculation that sounds shocking, but is completely rational. So you'd write down your salary after tax, and then let's say it was 1,800, 2,000, something like that. And then you look at your childcare costs. That could be 1,200. The parents may feel that they're effectively working for only a few £100 after childcare because of the deduction. But the thing is this, the household still gains if you're working. Even if you're bringing in £400 or £500 a month, it's £400 or £500 towards the pot that helps pay the costs of, maybe it pays for the food, maybe it pays for the food and the kids after school club, swimming and things like that. Leaving work may damage their future career. As I said, I've got many friends who were senior managers. When they went back, that wasn't the job they went back to. And there's a lot of HR arguments about it, but they say they couldn't hold the job open for a whole year, so they had to take somebody else on. But you can work as their assistant and for this amount of money, significantly less money. Happened to two of my friends. And they had to leave, which indirectly is what the company wanted, because they leave, they go and get a job, but now they've got a job, they've got to prove themselves all over again, they've got to do over and above, and when they say, can you stay late because we need to get this, whatever it is done, you're phoning around to get someone else to grab your kid. I've done it myself. I've been stuck in a meeting knowing full well I'm not going to get the train that allows me to get home in time to get Ben, and I've had to ask somebody to grab him and take him home with them and me pick him up from them. I don't think I'm unusual. I think I'm always honest, but what I'm telling you is I think that I just heard thunder, so I hope we're not going to get. I had horrible power cuts the other day, so hopefully not. I did that's my first TikTok live, and I had 2 power cuts, and I got an exclusion for a violation for something. I don't know what I said or did, but I did something wrong. So I wrote underneath, sounds like I've been in the wars. 2 power cuts and a violation. So if it does go, I do apologise. I'm sure Annie will keep you entertained. So back to the maths. The household has to make a decision about how do you allow both parties to continue with a career that will give them a salary that is worthy. Now, if you take too long a time out of your working life, your skills and experience become outdated. Your returning to employment becomes harder, and mums returning to work are not always treated with the same respect they should be. I used to love to take on part-time mum returners because they were so grateful. I would job share. I would take 2 women on and they would job share, and they could choose between them. As long as one of them was there in the morning and the afternoon, I didn't care. As long as I got five sessions out of each of them a week, they could work it out between them. So if one of them wanted to be at a nativity play, one of them wanted to be at a carol concert or something or the other one would carry the shift. I never had an issue, ever. And those mums were so grateful to me and my attitude that I got so much work out of them. I think it's the biggest mistake people make is not employing mum returners. They are grateful. That gratitude transfers into very, very high level of work. And also it means that people are willing to go above and beyond, right? For each other and everyone around them. And
That's a worry. Where's Paulette gone? She's something falling off. Yes, Annie will save the day, she said. Here we are. Now, look, obviously, let's start at the beginning. I'm not sure Paulette will come back. No, she's still here, but she's not here. How weird is that? Yeah, look, thank you. I say thank you,
hello,
friends. You're
right,
back.
I warned you. Am I back?
We lost you. Right.
Am I live?
You know, look, there are a few comments. Now you're back again. Can you hear me? No, she can't hear me. How weird. Anyway, can you hear me or not?
I don't look good.
Can you hear me? No, you can't hear me. I tell you. Restart your device. That's what you have to do.
Is that a power cut, Charles?
Restart your device. We can still see you. Right. Let me try and. Let me try. Okay, so Paulette's gone. Right. So Queen Leah, of course, I see you. I'll ignore any laugh comments. Yeah, come to log back in. Log back in. As you can't hear me, I can hear you. We can all hear you. All right. So that's me talking to Paulette on the phone. If I can work out how to end the call, that'd be really good, wouldn't it? Yes. Tap to return. And just tap to return. How about tap to end the call? You can't end the call apparently. Okay, so no, we're still on the call. Okay, the call stopped now. Okay, right, Queen Leah, of course I see you, and you know that's absolutely on point, Paulette. So when she comes back, we'll give her that feedback. Sharon Rose, I get you. The truth, I definitely didn't calculate for twins. I don't think we can calculate for one child, let alone two, right? And you know, for all the good things Paulette's telling us, you know, not everyone's gonna have the luck of the good mother returning to work, Paulette. You know, we fear. It's, you know, I tell you what it is with fear, Paulette. It's when things go wrong. And when things go well, everything's good, right?
Yeah.
When things go wrong, then we as employers we're buggered.
Yeah.
You know, and things go wrong. I say, you know, a disability. You know, the emergencies, the chaos of people's lives. Well, these are all the things that will ruin that perfect, that hardworking, keen returning mother. Yeah, but I do agree. You know, there's an issue. You know, you mentioned the numbers right at the beginning. Again, we'll come back to that in a second. So Queen Leah, and I think this is probably part of the answer. There are many opportunities to create income from home that were not available years ago. I agree with you. Of course, there is.
100%.
You know, and I think now we do have to go there. I think, you know, because you know what you ended with, Paulette, is this thing about how, you know, if you're working 9 to 5, there's got to be someone at home, you know. And so what saved, you know, me personally is having the flexibility to do what I do, how I do it, you know, being my own boss. You know, so that has been truly.
The entrepreneur is the, to be honest, it's the entrepreneur's dream, you know, to be able to have your dream of being your own boss, working the hours you choose to work and working remotely if you want to. That has to be in the end everybody's dream, because it stops control of other people over your life.
I'm glad you say no. It is it's the hours and the remote bit. So in the early days, I had an office. I had to go to the office. God Almighty! As soon as I got to the office, I was free. Because I had staff, who were in the office. So, but as soon as I got rid of that, I was literally, life's been so much better since then, right? I think we'll come back to the opportunities, Queen Leah, for sure. So
Absolutely.
Sharon Rose says that's why creating a business is the move. It really, really is, right? The expense of having kids, goodness. You mentioned, where are we now? 1.4 kids, 1.6 kids if we're lucky. I think the point of the numbers, Paulette, is that we're not having enough kids to replace the geriatrics.
Demographic completely out of skew.
When I say we're not replacing the old workers, we're losing. So
well,
in the end,
I've got to stop you and tell you a story. Ben said to Charles, my dream is to cure cancer, and Charles was like, "No, don't do it."
Yeah, they'll live longer. They'll live longer. They will live longer. We don't want that.
How could you say that, Charles? I had cancer. You'd want me to live? No, I was joking. What I mean, I just meant that, like, they keep curing all these illnesses. People are all going to be living longer, and then what happens? And the answer is stop it. I don't want you to say that. Let him dream. Let him dream about curing cancer, and if he doesn't, he can cure something else. But the idea that he's always wanted to cure sick people is good enough. That's all I care about.
Yeah, but people are living longer.
They are absolutely, and that means the whole demographic is completely off skew.
Yes,
and the cost of children makes us not want to have them, or even if we wanted them, we can't afford to have them.
But we can't afford not to have them. I think your and my cry today is that we need to give more.
I got 2 calls to action.
Okay, no, what?
One of them involves more bedroom activity.
Yes, I agree, and I 100% agree with you. More love. Yeah, put it that way. That's what I say.
Spread the love, guys.
I didn't say that. So I just said a bit more love for your partner, more love for your family life, more love for. There's
something also that before I get off, I will forget, and I just must remember to mention, is that when you're not working, you're not paying into your pension. When you're not paying into your pension, when you leave work, you're going to need that pension, especially if you retire early, because now that this movement keeps going, I'm telling you that it's going to keep going. I believe that it will be 70. I believe it will be 70 within the next 2 years. I don't think if the Labour government stay in power, then it will be 70. It goes a bit longer.
Yeah,
but there will be another 2 or 3 years added. It's 68 now. It will be 70, and that's both sexes.
I thought it was 67. So I didn't know it was 68. But now look,
I'm 67. Charles is 68. So, and then I'm telling you that the way it's chucking it down. The way that it's looking, it's going to go to 70, because they just cannot. The pot of money is just not big enough. The pot of money is not big enough.
There'll be no retirement. This is where we and there'll be no pensions. Now this is a problem that we're facing.
People are going to end up working and dying.
Yes,
right.
Literally,
they're going to work their butts off and not be here.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen.
We have to be aware of these facts. So the more people that can work for themselves, can become entrepreneurs, can become remote working, or get whatever side hustle you hustle becomes your point of income, then fair play to you, because the more time you can spend with your children. And I'm going to say this, we've got Lisa Drew, who's ed.d. She is an expert in education and an expert in well basically all things education from both sides, from the parental side and from the educational side. And I'm really happy that we're going to meet up together. And the end result of this for me is not for me to say don't have children. It's not for me to say that we're not doing the right thing. What I'm trying to say is understand that we have to find a different way. So,
yes.
Work or don't work, or work differently.
Yes,
Work or
number
don't
one.
work, or work differently, right?
I think work, don't work is a problem.
Don't
Because
work
you're not going
means
to have
that
enough
you are
money.
living on the bread line. You're
Yeah,
living on the
which is
bread
like
line.
that's always going to be a problem. It might sound all right today, but it's not going to work. That's not the answer. You have to
Would you
work.
like some solutions? I have some solutions.
Let's see what our friends are saying first of all, and then you can give us your solutions.
Okay.
So, Madam Ibiraka, how are you doing, Madam? I haven't seen you for a while. So, this is the reality of modern day parents, especially if you live in urban centers. Indeed, so this is not just a thing in the West. This is a thing that clearly in Africa.
Worldwide.
Well. Yeah, the village we used to have. We used to have a support for raising children has gradually been eroded by the reality of it's our culture these days. It's our time.
Economy as well.
Right, the village
huge.
is not there. We're not, even when we live in the village, we're still isolated. That's what I mean. It's everyone's problem. I saw Joshua, so I'll come back to you, Joshua. Paul, how you doing, Paul? Says, I hope you're having a blessed day. So Paul and I, we're gonna do Paul's first room next Tuesday. So it's an early morning room. They want to, him and his friends want to write a book, of course. That's why you call it, right? But also, we wanted to share affirmations and some realities.
Nice.
So imagine our first topic is it's cool to be a dad.
Nice.
So you can see where we're going with these conversations. Do connect with Paul and do come along to our rooms. It'll be interesting conversations.
What time is it going to be?
2:00-ish our time. So I think it's early US time. They want to go early Eastern time. So
2:00 in the morning.
No, afternoon. No, 1 p.m.
Oh, I can do
time,
that.
1 p.m. our time. So it's normal for us.
Alternate Tuesdays to me, kind of thing.
Yes, but very early for Americans. How are you doing, Dr. Melissa? Well done on your
haven't seen you for ages. Congratulations on your latest achievements. Yes.
So are you.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw it. I have to be honest. I've been my weekends have been I'll talk about that later.
Yeah. Jay says childcare is unaffordable for most. It really is. What we saw with COVID daycare with groups of kids can be. It's not can be. It is worrisome. Look, I had 2 kids a long time ago. Right, the kids are in 30s now. We thought that was expensive. Then we had our last one. He's 17 now. He nearly bankrupted us, and I was like, no more. Whatever we were thinking. That love thing in the bedroom, Paul. Less of that. Less of that.
Control yourself, Annie. Control yourself.
How you doing, Josh? So great to have you here always. Paul. So it's time for us to look to ourselves for entrepreneurship because we can do things that other people can't because we are unique. I'm with you. Of course, everyone has a gift they can bring. Because we're beautifully and wonderfully made. Isn't that so true?
Absolutely. Paul should be in your next room. Because that's
is
what Paul's thinking.
What, in the what if room?
Yeah. He needs to be in that room.
Paul, you should be in the what if room. So that starts in an hour and a half. Join us.
Right up this alley.
It's belief and faith. It's faith and belief that But look, being your own boss is not that easy, though, Paul. So you well know.
I'm not glorifying it. Or trust me, I know it's blinking hard work. I've been there. And I tell you what else as well. Sometimes you end up doing more hours, but I used to work hours that were. So I might be working till 10:00 at night, but I would have had from like 4:00 when I picked Ben up till 8:00 when he went to bed with him. So that was our time, homework, get things done when he was younger, when he was sort of like 6, 7, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, that kind of age. That was our time, and I'll never regret that. but I would be working the other end of the day and the beginning of the day to
Who
make
does
up the hours.
who does that, Paulette? Who does
Because you
that these
have to,
days? I
right?
have
You
to.
have to.
That's why I work at night.
And it's kind of like people glorify things. And one thing I don't do is glorify. I'm afraid I give it to you raw and unpleasant sometimes. So be warned, okay? So if we can't afford to take a break because we don't have any savings, because we've spent every penny we have, what do we do when the car stops working and there's a problem? You get the car fixed because you've got no choice. And then the bill comes in for the after school club. Now, I used to be the chair of the after school club. Of course I did. And Charles unfortunately got put into the treasury department. Not that he wanted to be, but, you know, he's an accountant, so his name went down. They sort of saw us two come. We arrived and they went, yeah, you'll do. You know, and we got signed up there and then. But what I found was I was chasing parents for money every single week. And then I got to the point where I used to say, we can't afford the wage this bill this month because we haven't been paid, right? So I used to have to phone the bank and get an overdraft facility for the after school club to enable us to survive. And then I used to phone up with the local restaurant, and both their kids would come to us. And they were running a flipping huge but it won the pub of the year. The Pheasant at Keyston won the pub of the year. And it was like, hang on a minute, you've got a really thriving business. If you didn't pay your suppliers, they wouldn't supply you. Why do you think that works okay for us? And they'd be like, oh, we'll send a check in, don't worry. She'll be in their bag tonight. You'll have it tonight. And tonight would arrive and it wouldn't be there. And then she would open the door, call the kids and make the kids run out. And in the end, I clocked onto this. So I would actually go in and I stood there with my arms crossed. And I said, hello. I said, are you not going to come in? She was like, and I said, is there a problem? And she was like, yeah, we've got a cash flow problem. I said, well, if you phone me and let me know, I know what I can do to put it right. I'm not going to kick the kids out, for goodness sake. The one thing that I'm not going to do is hurt your children. But this isn't fair. You know, we're in trouble here because there's not just one of you doing this. There's like half a dozen. And, you know, we need to know where we stand. And she was like, I'll give you so much this month and so much extra next month, and gradually we'll catch up. And I said, okay, fine. Okay. But the point is this, you can't go into a restaurant, eat a meal and go, yeah, a bit of a stuffing month this month. I can't afford to pay for it, but it was really nice. I'll tell you what, I'll pay for it next month. You know, you can't do that, right? So why was it okay for her to do that with our school hair? Because she knew I had a kind heart and she knew that I'd cover it or get it sorted somehow. But that was the problem. People were living almost hand to mouth. And even though that was a restaurant that was doing quite well. So I think there is some things that we can do that are possible solutions. Number one is obviously we think about our own employment. We have a plan, we have a what if, and we expand on that. And one of the ways I thought we could expand on it, and again, things like DBS checks, where you have to make sure that, I mean, when I was going into school reading and being Mrs. Worry for the children, every school I would go into would need their own DBS check on me. So even though I had my own one for home as a therapist, I had to have one for every school I visited. Pretty wary. But the point I was going to say is I thought there are many, many, many churches that are empty, right? Between the hours of school hours, right? And as long as the children aren't going to do any damage, I'm sure that a lot of them have the church halls or they've got spaces that they would allow for children to go and play there with a couple of parents. So if you worked it out that each parent took 1 day a month over the course of, let's say, 21 days a month, 21 working days is roughly the average for a month rather. Those 21 days, what you could do is you could say those 21 days, I am, for that time, right, I'm going to take 1 day off work. But that means for the rest of the month, I've got no school fees to pay, after school fees to pay, or before school fees to pay, because we make a contribution to the church and everybody takes 1 day off. So 20 parents get together and they agree to do that. That would take 12 days out of their holiday a year. And that would give them childcare. I thought that was a really smart way of doing it. Then I got told insurance. Then I got told DBS checks. Then I got told the place, the church halls or whatever would all need to be checked, make sure that they're safe, blah, 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 blah. Then you need to make sure that any equipment that's being used has been checked, safety checked, because then you've got to have extra insurance for if they're going to play on equipment, if they're going to go and play in the park, or if you're responsible for walking them from A to B, you've got to have a different insurance. And I'm like, why are you making it so hard? Why does it have to be that hard? Why can't they just be the kids all come into mine for the day? Treat it like it's your house. Well, they said, but then that's childcare. And that is taxable. How can it be taxable? I'm not actually paying any money. I'm bartering my day. I'm bartering 1 day for 20 days or 21 days, right? There's no money involved. I'm just taking 1 day holiday, and for 20 days, my kid gets looked after. I don't understand why we have to make it complicated, except money. Money will always be the reason why we make it complicated, right? Don't know why my thing stopped working, blowing air at me. Oh, that's better. So if you imagine this, okay, every time you come up with a what if, somebody says, we thought of that. No, they haven't. In the olden days, we used to barter chickens for sheep or whatever, right? What's the difference with bartering labour for labour? Labour for time, labour for childcare. And if you live in a village, the kids will get off from school at the school bus outside the village hall or wherever. They all walk in the village hall and they spend the next 2 hours with you. And your job would be to keep an eye on them while there'd be 2 of you, because I think you've got to do it that way. Depending on the numbers. I mean, if we're talking about 10 kids, you can have 1. I think if it's over 10 kids, you have to have 2. There's sorts of rules, laws. Because now you're talking about childcare. So they want to start changing it and making it more complicated. But if we have to abide by the rules, we do. But I think bartering your time is a really smart way of countering this argument of how do we manage to get through the costs. So that was one idea I came up with. Holiday clubs and all that kind of stuff. Again, if you have a friendship group where they're like, Ben had about 7 or 8 friends that are really close-knit bunch of guys, lovely lads, and I would have no issue with having them all at my house, none at all, and I could still work because they're far enough up the garden to make enough noise. They're like, probably the neighbours didn't like it, but whatever. And there's a pool up the garden, they'd be up there all day long playing and doing whatever they do, right? And then I would chuck a load of pizzas in the oven. I'd take the pizzas outside, they'd eat them outside. I'd throw those crates of Coke outside. and that would be bottles of water. I didn't want to see them. They weren't allowed in the house. Part of the child's shed, part of his gym room got turned into a changing room, so they've got somewhere to get changed. I put the toilet, when we had the new bathroom put in, I put the toilet out the garden. It goes straight into a bucket. It works absolute treat. Number one's only, because Charles will not empty a bucket or anything else in it. Number two is obviously you have to pop in the house, but that's it. There's no other reason to come in the house at all. And Ben knew that. That was the rules. If we're going to do this, do you know what? Those kids would be outside sitting on rugs, blankets. They'd chuck it all on the floor. They'd put some tents up. They could be here for a week and I wouldn't know. They wanted feeding in the morning, feeding at lunchtime, feeding in the evening, and then me to leave them alone and stay out of the way. And they would be up there playing hide and seek, the first person to find something X, whatever it was they came up with, and they'd all scatter until they could find it. We had loads of these guns with water pistols, and they could fill them up from the hose outside. And as long as they kept it up the garden, I didn't care. And I guess what I'm saying is I can't be unique in that. So if I was prepared to take the kids, I would say 2 days a week, maybe 3. Yeah, maybe 3, sometimes 7, just up the garden. I have got insurance because I've got a swimming pool. You have to have that insurance. I've got a DBS check because of what I do. But how many parents couldn't come up with something like that? I'm not saying the simple. I'm saying just playing with them, doing stuff, taking time out to, do stuff in the garden. Go put a football up and play football. Go and, they had a rugby post. They kick balls over rugby post that I bought from eBay. I bought from eBay a goal. They used to play football in the goal. And then they used to, 2 or 3 of them would stand in the goal and they weren't allowed to move. And the boys took shots at them. I don't know whether that was a fun game, but they used to enjoy it. But then they were so rubbish that they don't think ever really got hurt. But, they would entertain themselves for hours. And then in the evening, they would come in and say, can we come in? Can we play Smash? And I'd be like, yeah, come in. What do you want for tea? Burgers and chips, all right? Sausages, whatever. They'd be like, yeah, no problem. Parents would phone up, talk to their parents. And quite often, the parents say, are you sure you don't mind having them again? I'd be like, they're sleeping in the tents in the garden. Put 3 2-man tents up, and one of them's got 3, one of them's got 2, one of them's got 2. And, Ben had a perfectly good bed indoors, but he would sleep in the garden with them. And something, I think that was one way of supporting other people. And I don't think that I was unique in that, because I would get, listen, we really owe you. So we're going to take all the kids, the whole sort of 7 or 8 of them. We'll take them all to one of those water things, water park type things. Basically, it's a lake with a load of inflatables on it. And we're going to take them there for the day. Or somebody else would say, we're going to take them to one of those rooms, like, I forget what you call them, but escape rooms, right? So they would all get a day out, go into an escape room. Another one would get a day out and they'd all go off there. So do you know something? What I did was really appreciated. And if they paid it back by doing 1 day of something really amazing, who was I to argue? And they would never let me pay. They would never let me pay for Ben's entry to whatever it was, because as far as they were concerned, no, that's on us. We'll pay for their dinner and whatever. Now, not saying they paid for everybody's, they paid for Ben's. Now, if the other parents were doing stuff, then they worked it out between them. But I'm just trying to throw ideas out there, the what if ideas. How can we come up with alternatives to getting hit time after time after time. The next thing I came up with was employee-supported holiday care. So I kind of like the idea that an employer says to their employees, okay, we know you're going to have a nightmare with the summer holidays, and we know it's really tough. So what we're going to do is we're going to allow you so many hours of your day that you can work however you want to. So like I talked about the working my own 4 or 5 hours in the evening, let them do it. The working from home thing has become so easy now that employers could easily allow employees during summer holidays and times like this that extra grace to know they'll still do their job. And I think that having been an employer, that you get so much more from people when you are seen to be thinking about them, understanding their problem, understanding what they're trying to achieve. Businesses often complain about recruitment and retention difficulties. Don't make it easy for people though, do they? This will be a great way of keeping the people that know, have got the skills, that have worked their bottoms off to get to where they've got to. Why not retain them in a way that gives them the opportunity to take that 6 to 8 week summer holiday time and make it easy? Easier. Not easy, easier. I also think that as schools already have buildings, schools already have facilities, they've already got all the safeguarding stuff in place. I can't argue why parents can't use schoolrooms. I think that's something that is worth considering. Like I said about the church halls, they come up with 101 reasons why you can't do it. Well then, what about the schoolrooms that aren't being used? And in the summer, you don't need to use electricity. You're not going to use heating. Bit of light, maybe, as it gets darker, maybe. But they'll be gone by then. So why not let the kids use the football field and play football? Run tournaments. Dads could run tournaments. Mums could run tournaments. Whoever wants to run tournaments can run tournaments. But you could have, a system where on your days that you're looking after the kids, the parents drop them off at school as normal, and then all you do is make sure you made some packed lunches up, some sandwiches, and that's it. They get sandwiches for lunch, and everyone's had breakfast before they left, and all you have to do is have water available, and the school's open for toilets and water. I think there has to be a different way, and I think it has to be parent-led. And I think parent-led, employment-led, I think between the two of them, we can solve the problem. And I think that it is a mediation thing. It is a how can we work this out between us thing. And I do think it is a barter thing where you do this for me, I do this for you. I think it works. And I don't even think, I even had in my head, what about childcare vouchers? So I could produce a voucher that says I've had so many days, and then you give a voucher, and I thought, oh, that sounds a bit too official. But you all know what you've done for other people. And if another parent is slacking off, you're going to tell them. I'm afraid. You're going to tell them. I think there should also be a fund. And I know I've looked it up and there isn't really much of one, but it's called an emergency childcare support fund. And because all the pots are empty, full stop. So there isn't any point going there at the moment. But in the long term, I think we're going to need to have an emergency support for children, because the food banks and places like this just cannot keep up. And children need nutrients. Children need to be fed. And there needs to be a fund that is accessible specifically for children. And I think that, lastly, again, in order for the employee to feel like they're getting something out of it, they're saying, well, I get to keep my job. I get to work less hours during the summer holidays, but I make it up in the evenings. And the employer gets something out of it in that they get the upside of retaining the staff, retaining that knowledge, and just being flexible. Worth thinking about. I tried to get to a point. I always try to get to a conclusion, and as if I was writing a consultative document. I always like to come up with a conclusion or a reason for what we've done and what we've achieved. This is what I came up with. This is not simply a childcare problem. It's a workforce problem, an economic problem, a demographic problem, and a social problem. Parents are not asking for special treatment. They are asking for a system that recognises a basic reality. Children need care, parents need to work, and the gap between those two facts has become one of defining challenges facing modern families. That's what I reckon. And finally, I wrote down strong families, strong communities, and strong economy. Then children cannot be treated as private issue alone. We have to understand it's a national issue, if not an international issue. The only thing that I can think of is that we haven't worked out how to value family in the current world we live in. We haven't worked out how to value family. And that's one of the biggest problems we've got in many, many areas. Many, many areas. But this one is a very specific one, because I think that children are centric to everything. Because without those, guess what? We stop. We do not evolve. We do not continue. The world may well be full of Elon Musk's robots, but there won't be any people to play with them. We've got to keep growing the number of children that are coming into the world, and therefore we need to make it easier for those parents who are having those children to bring them into the world. And we don't want children to be living on the breadline. We don't want children to be living in poverty. And we don't want children to be also, just like my friend Bev's next door neighbour, seen as being the family. Oh, they're the ones that are, they're on the social. We don't want that either. We don't want to flag problems, but we need to flag solutions. On that note, I think I'm going to throw it over to you guys. Let's see what you come up with. Any of you there?
Talking to myself half the time. But it's all right. And I say, we lost our Levine. Right, cool. There's a lot there, Paulette. There's a lot there. And I don't know. I suppose, as you were giving your ideas, I think what came to me is that there's people making money at every stage in life. There's people who, they make good money running play days, play centers, play activities, whatever, call it what, I've had kids go football, I've had kids go play, go places, right? And there's always someone trying to make money out of all of us, and if we try and do it ourselves, the rules that we talked about earlier are suddenly getting in your way. Having kids that, look, okay, let me not go down the blame people route. It's more, people have this thing about safety these days, which is a bit, you can see it as OTT, or you can see it as legit. If you send your kids to Scouts, Paulette, it's not what it used to be. They could be easily abused Were they abused years ago in Scouts? Yes, I'm sure they were. Is it any worse now than it was? Maybe not, but people will not send their kids to somewhere out there because they fear, for their safety. You take that as you wish at all levels. I wouldn't have kids in my house. We have kids in our house for regular, and they always annoy me. They're your kids, take them away. That's what I say, right? They're your kids. I don't want them. I'd rather they didn't come around, but my son has to have friends, so they do come around. And I suppose the other thing I would say that you don't live in urban areas. So I think Sharon Rose mentioned urban areas earlier. If you live in central London, you wouldn't be thinking the way you're thinking. There's more people, yes, but there's also more danger. There's also they haven't got the space that you have in your place. I know the space you have, Paulette. Most people haven't got anywhere near half that amount of space to have kids in camping in the back garden without being eaten by something.
Nuts.
Yeah, no, the foxes. What else do we have? Hedgehogs. We have funny things that might eat you. You never know, right?
We get deer. We get muntjacs, if that's any help.
There you go.
Muntjacs.
Hopefully they won't come through your garden because those things are
They come into the garden and they eat Charles's trees. I know all about them.
See?
He swears at them. Teddy barks at them and they just stand there going, really?
How would I have my kids in your back garden then? If they might be munched by some creature that will come through?
Because they don't come near you. They're more scared of you than you are of them. Seriously, I'm scared of most things that fly, walk, or crawl. And literally, muntjacs don't frighten me. They're quite sweet. But the key thing here, what we're saying is, and I want people to go away and really think about this, because this conversation is going to continue in not next week, but the following week's time, because I want to have people's ideas, what they do, how they've worked it, how they've managed to make it happen for them. Because I think that there's a lot, I've thrown everything but the kitchen sink at this. My psychology books tell me one thing, my sociology books tell me another, my parenting and co-parenting books tell me another. Basically everybody says something different, but the one thing they all say is we have to look after the children, we have to care for them, we have to give them what they need. And the biggest issue with this, the way that I see it, the biggest issue with this is that we're saying to ourselves, there isn't a solution.
There's this. Look, we've talked about the need to earn in a way that works with family life.
Different way, yeah.
Yeah, so being an entrepreneur is one of them. I think look, there's a truth in all of this. The truth is that we can understand our greatness, as Paul mentioned earlier. Again, as Jay says, Renee watches our grandkids while she works from home. My daughter also works from home and watches him on the breaks, right? So choices we make earlier in life, Paulette, they come back to bite us. And as humans, look, again, Paul mentioned that we have a gift. We all have gifts, talents, call it what you like, right? And our gifts can always work for us, and we must allow our gift to reward us. Are you brave enough to put yourself out there to follow your dreams, to follow your gifts, to build your own business, to build your own thing, which will give you the life you want? If not, are you willing to invest to have the income you need without going to work 9 to 5 every day? Of course, I remember you were talking about the difference life is when you have staff, because you're paying people's bills. And cash flow in a business is a bugger. It's I didn't swear.
Especially a charity.
No, for everyone.
When it was an after-school club, that was a charity.
Yeah.
And we were absolutely screwed when people didn't pay us, and they didn't pay us.
I learned from a long time ago. When it's just me in my company, I'm fine. When you have one staff, you are, you're on the edge, because now you're paying someone's bill, you look after someone's kids, someone's mortgage, someone's, and that's a problem.
You've got a commitment, haven't you? Yeah.
Yeah, and if you've got two staff, it's impossible, because in the UK that's £4,000 a month, at least you're looking at. And I haven't mentioned paying yourself or paying your bills. I'm saying, most people who own small businesses, not most, I guess my first employer, who had his own small business, it was in 2000. He had to have funders, backers, they're called, those you can turn to and say, right, we need money to tide us over. And and at least once a month, we'll go and sit with the backers, and negotiate something to be released.
As I say, I used to have to phone the bank manager and say, please, a little overdraft, please.
Yeah, I think you have to have that facility somehow, somewhere. Otherwise you're gonna have to build up some sort of reserve, because you need. This is why charities need 3 months reserve, Paulette. I'm sure you know this already. Which you need money in the bank. That way, cash flow doesn't ruin you, because cash flow, it destroys. It destroys all of us. Again, I say that because we are all part of this world. We're part of the world that doesn't help small businesses. We're part of the world that doesn't pay on time. We're part of the world that doesn't invest in our local businesses. We can all do something to help in this situation.
That needs to be a law change. I really believe that the law needs to change, that says that if you are late paying a bill, then there is a fee for doing that.
Yes.
If you are late. I've always agreed that's what you should do.
There is. Now, look, you can charge 10% late payment fee, pretty much, right? 10% a month, I think it is. But
they can't get out the initial money, though.
Yeah, but
you get the extra 10%.
I think if you sign a contract that says you have a 60-day payment cycle, then that's on you. If you sign a 3-month payment cycle, that's on you, right? And I say,
I can tell you that I had to put one company that I was consulting with into they were going to go into liquidation, and I said the only way that I can save you is if we factor the debt. And they were like, what do you mean by that? And I said, factoring is the only way around it. I said, because that means we'll get the cash flow in, but we're not going to get it all in, and we're going to get like 60%, but it will mean we'll bring in the regular income. And we went into factoring, and I took them into factoring because otherwise they'd have been bust. They bought themselves out of factoring about 5-10 years later.
10
but
years.
I remember them telling me, they told me, if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be in business, we wouldn't have the lifestyle we've got. And, full of gratitude for something that they hadn't thought of or didn't even know existed. Because, until you have been around the block, and I have been several times around the block in my old life, don't go there. You do know that every opportunity, every type of problem that's happened in a business, I've either seen it, been part of it, or touched it. And so as a consequence, where the points are, where all the pressure points are, and where all the issues are. And the same thing goes to looking at childcare. We've got to look at it in a very different way. We've got to look at it as a almost community problem, right? If we look at it as a community problem, we're not relying on these expensive nurseries and these expensive facilities. It's a community issue. And I think as soon as we do that, we're in a position where you actually stand half a chance of resolving the issue. But listen, I want everyone else out there to come up with ideas.
Yeah,
because
no,
I'm just throwing a few of them out there.
yeah, no, we'll bring it back. We'll talk to our friends in between
Yeah,
now and the next one, right?
100%.
But
Just before I go, I just want to show you 3 very important things that mean the world to me and are the reason why I'm working my bottom off becoming a old age influencer. But we won't go into that right now.
a geriatric influencer.
Geriatric influencer, that's it. So this is Jack. I could go off him really. This is Jack and Water in the Bantalus Breakfast Mystery. This is Jack and Water in New School Niggles, and this is Jack and Water in New House Nerves.
Yeah.
And each one of those books solves 1 or 2 or 10 problems. Every one of them teaches emotional intelligence. Every one of them teaches a child to trust its gut instinct. And every one of them teaches parents how to parent. And so I would ask you to, if you haven't already, and if you have, I thank you. But if you haven't, remember that for every book that is purchased, another one is gifted. And you've seen them around being gifted to everywhere, whether it's all over the States, whether it's in Belize, whether it's in Uganda, whether it's in wherever, all over London, all over. And he took some to one of his local, I think it was in London actually, you took yours to Eddie. But the point I'm making is that, you know what, this is where, again, if you buy one and I gift one, we've both won, right? I don't make any money. I'm not making any money. You buy one, gift one. That's what we do. There isn't any money. Every penny that comes in goes out, right?
Yeah.
Then I've now joined TikTok. And on TikTok, I am an influencer. God help you all. And this face is by Peaches and Cream. Comes to you as the most mature model they have. That didn't please me, but anyway, the point is, shut up. They gave me all of this makeup to demonstrate and show you that, you know, I have to sit here and go. And all of this, I don't care, because it's bringing in boxes and boxes and boxes of goodies. They're all going upstairs, ready for Christmas. Not for my family, but for the children in care, for the foster families, for those that won't have, for the care leavers. Every single time I get something, it will go away. And I would really appreciate if anyone goes over to Tiki Talk, and I know Sharon Rose has seen me there, and I really was so grateful to see her. Aaron popped into a room yesterday when I was doing some sort of demonstration or was laughing about something or the other, and it was lovely to see him. So, you know, if you are on the other side, over on the, you know, the I'm not allowed to say LinkedIn on TikTok. I have to sell the LI, just like the rainforest. But you're not allowed to drive people anywhere else. But if you are here and you go over there or already over there, come and see me when I'm live. Come say hi. Friendly faces are always welcome. I'm in a room full of people that have been getting, I mean, honestly, I probably got about 10 Elon Musks, 12 Fazers. I've got, I mean, why can't people be their own name? I don't know. Why people can't have their own identity? I don't know.
You got 25 husbands to be.
Oh, yes. That I get sugar babies and sugar daddies. And yes, I'd like to give you money every month. And I'm like, what? I'm married. I go, it doesn't matter. I don't want anything from you but you to be my friend. And I'm like, you can find friends. Go find some friends. Go join the local youth club or something for old people. Leave me alone. You know.
Look, there is a link to buy the Jack and Water books, and there are 3 books in the series you just saw. And I say these on Amazon. Do go along and just check it out. And if you do buy a copy, please leave a review. As we learned this morning, as if we didn't know that already, Paulette. Who's LinkedIn user on LinkedIn? I can't see on my LinkedIn, so I have no idea how you're there. But now you're here.
Hello, LinkedIn user.
Yeah, put your name in the comments, and I'll happily welcome you.
Are you Elon Musk?
No,
or
it's not. It's not. It's
Fazza?
not Elon Musk, Paulette. No, it's not. It's
Could it
not.
be Fazza?
Yeah, well, at least at least we know where we're going to for our next event, right? You
We
know, but
certainly
no,
do.
this
And
this is a
listen,
huge topic.
I really hope that it's got people thinking, and
Mm.
even in your next room, your what if room, you
Yeah.
know, think about when people are thinking about becoming entrepreneurs, people will be thinking about, you know, jacking in a salary, as it were. They've got to think about what are they going to do with the children? How are we
Yeah.
going to afford the school fees? How are we going to afford this? How are we going to afford the nursery fees? Whatever. So just throw that, throw it all in the pot, because it's so important. You know, really,
Yeah.
it's so important. And I have got 3 meetings lined up, which is quite exciting. It's not really. It's quite funny, but I will tell you about it later, when it's not public. 2 of them are hilarious, but anyway. I'm going to get some of these moo cow false eyelashes. They're about this long. Honest to God, they're like. Now I've got long enough eyelashes as it is. I don't really need these moo cow ones, but apparently I do. And if I wear them for 4 sessions, we get 25 quid. So you know what? 25 quid in the kitty. Guess what? That's 3 books.
Anyway.
So I am doing everything in my power, guys. Everything. Please, if you can support me in any way you can, whether it's come and say hi over on the Tiki Toki, or whether it's buy books, just, you know, understand that when you come across people who are really honest, genuine, are trying to do something, really making a difference in people's lives, support them, because there's too many people out there that say they are and they're not. So on that note, I'm going to say goodbye to you all. It's been an absolute pleasure. Annie, thank you so much, as always, for doing this room, and looking after me.
Yeah. And I say,
Yeah.
Levine, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, sorry you dropped off, darling, but it might have been my fault because of the power cut. I had a blip.
Okay, right. I'm going to show you 2 videos before we go. So one is for our masterclass on Thursday.
Okay.
Goes for you too, Paulette. You know, we're listening to other people giving us ideas. You know, a couple of minutes longer, and then I'll show the Jack and Walter video to end. So, but the link is there for you to buy the Jack and Walter books, as I said earlier, my friends. So don't be shy. You know, support Paulette's parenting and childcare. No, I'm joking. Support parents and childcare around the world, really. That's what Paulette is doing. Anyway, here goes. You got 3 minutes of me talking about our masterclass. And go and buy a ticket. Don't be shy. Here goes. So AI is here. How are you using it? So many people don't understand that the old days, how people used to search online, has gone. Yes, of course, SEO still works. But today, the world has moved with AI. Now we talk about answer engine optimization. What does that mean to you? So here's a simple fact. So when people search for things online, now AI tools, whether it's Gemini, that's Google's AI tool, whether it's Claude, whether it's Perplexity, whether it's ChatGPT, what those AI tools do is give people recommendations. They give you an answer to your question. What does that mean for you? It means that you must become the person that answers questions that your customers are asking. That's how you're going to get people to know you exist and know that you can help them. So AI doesn't give 25 links like Google used to. Now AI gives 2 or 3 links at most, 2 or 3 citations. So you can be one of those citations, which is why we want to show you how to do that. So on a simple level, create a website. and have your website content rank high for AI systems. Alas, that takes time, and you probably haven't got a website. What do you do? See, you need to learn how the AI systems crawl our information. Where do AI tools get information from about you? And how do they make sense of it to say what you do, what you don't do? How do they show your answers to people's questions? This is what we're going to teach you in the masterclass, where you will become the definitive AI answer. The masterclass is on the 4th of June, and it's on Zoom. The information page is on LinkedIn. So Christina Segato and I are going to teach you step by step how to create content to answer people's questions that AI tools actually crawl, categorize, and show to people who are searching for people like you. Don't miss it. See, what you do today with this answer engine optimization is going to build your online presence for the next 20 years. Don't sit there wondering, what do I do? Don't sit there thinking, oh, I can't be the answer to people's questions. You have to be. We all have to be. Do you remember when the internet started? They said SEO is important, and you said, oh, well, that's too complicated. Now those people who invested in SEO in those days and the top rankings of websites. Today, you can build for the next 20 years. That way, you can be the answer to your client's questions. Go and book your ticket now to join us on Thursday, the 4th of June at 7 p.m. British Standard Time or 2 p.m. Eastern Time. See you there. Ticket. Yay. Anyway. It's a video, look, if you want the code, the link to buy your ticket, Paulette, then let me know, Paulette. Anyway, it took 3 hours of your life, to learn how to truly get, AI to cite you and give you as a definitive answer in search results. It can be done. We have to do it.
What time?
7 p.m. I've lost you. You're frozen. 7 p.m. it is on Thursday. Paulette, where have you gone? And Paulette's fallen off my world, but she's still here somehow. Anyway, look, whilst we wait for Paulette, let me play Jack and Walter video so you get an idea of what it is we are talking about and why we do what we do. Here you go, my friends. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you for spending your time with us. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for engaging. Thank you for just being you. Thanks for being great, right? You take care, everyone. You're back again. We lost you for a second.
I lost you. I thought it was you that went, not me. What time is it? The 4th at what time?
7 p.m.
Hey?
7 p.m. 7 p.m. our time.
7 p.m. our time. Yes. Okay.
It's an event page.
I'm going to see if Charles will be up for it, because I think my brain's fried, but he might be up for it.
Excellent. Yeah, he's more than invited. I'd buy a ticket. I might give you a ticket for him too.
No, I won't be there. AI are not friends. AI and I are scary. I can get myself in enough trouble. You know that already. Come on.
Yeah, Charles will have to complete a workbook. The whole point of the masterclass is that you complete an action plan that you can actually do.
I'm sure he could do that. He's got enough going on. He could certainly do an action plan.
Yeah, well, it's more than welcome, really. I'd love to have Charles there.
I'll talk to him. I'll see what he says.
Have you there, but let's not worry about that. Let's leave that alone for now, right? Let's play the Jack and Walter video, my friends. I'll put the link for my next event in the comments if you want to join us. The what if?
You only want me there to laugh at me because I don't know what I'm doing.
But you know what you're doing. There's a workbook. I tell you why I want you there, Paulette. I want you there because you're looking around thinking, how do I serve more people? I know you are. I've seen you do it. You know, and everyone's going to give you a dodgy answer, apart from any. I'll give you a straight answer and say, right, come to the masterclass. You will learn how to truly become visible in the age of AI. We'll talk later anyway. Bye, everyone. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Walter, #1 bestseller worldwide. Stories that inspire, becoming every child's guide. She teaches resilience, skill by skill, slowing worries down until they're still. Approaching issues with a stronger mind, building generations one heart at a time. When the storm clouds gather and you don't know what to do, take a deep breath, clear your mind, let the answer come to you. Walter's gonna be there in your present and your future too. So just stop and ask yourself, what would Walter do? What would Walter do? What would Walter do? What would Walter do? Not for profit, but for every child's right to handle smaller challenges, to stand and fight. The bigger stuff takes longer, that's okay, but confidence begins with what we do today. Trustworthy souls and integrity shine at Mental Wellness Cafe. She draws the line between drowning in the darkness and finding light. She lifts them up, teaches them to hold on tight. When the storm clouds gather and you don't know what to do, take a deep breath, clear your mind, let the answer come to you. Walter's gonna be there in your present and your future too. So just stop and ask yourself, what would Walter do? What would Walter do? To clear your mind, give yourself headspace to think before you let the pressure make your spirit sink. Self-belief and talking to someone you trust, these are the tools that lift us from the dust. She champions the dignity of growing strong. Every child capable, they belong all along. Generations rising with the strength she's built. Paulette's legacy, a world without guilt. From Huntington to hearts across the globe, her compassion is the thread that she has woven and sewed. Adults and children, all